Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it is that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Charlotte, North Carolina has long been a hotspot for motorsport, though usually for oval racing. NASCAR, ARCA, World of Outlaws, the list goes on. The NHRA holds its own footing in Charlotte, racing at the Z-Max Dragway across the street from Charlotte Motor Speedway on the same land as the dirt track at CMS, but road racing's history in Charlotte has been a bit spotty throughout the years. Of course, Charlotte is known for the 1.5-mile quad oval that's home to the Coca-Cola 600, but it's the stretches of pavement within that have seen occasional sports car racing through the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. The Charlotte road course never gained too much traction until 2017, when NASCAR and Speedway Motorsports Incorporated announced that NASCAR's second Charlotte event would move to the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Now that 2.28-mile, 17-turn course holds its own history, always adding to those pages. Welcome, race fans, to Pit Stop TV. As usual, we're live to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter tonight. I should have Noah Carmichael back with me shortly. Trey Shuttlesworth is on social media coverage tonight. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is Pit Stop TV's live coverage of the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League. We join you all tonight from the virtual Concord, North Carolina for round 6 of 8 on the season. And Trey, well, it looks like we're waiting on Noah. Actually, no, it looks like we do have Noah. Noah, do you have us?
Hopefully. My computer's been trying to hurt itself for the last 2 or 3 minutes. I'm struggling to get into the session, but hopefully I'm able to.
Well, hey, as long as we can get things worked out, it seems like today has been a day of technological gremlins, rather. We do have some point standings. We'll just get right into it. I'm going to go over some point standings real quick, and then we'll get into our guest interview. And we'll come back over these point standings here shortly, but this is just a look at things. This is adding David Levine to the pro class. Chris Walsh still clearing away the leader there, but it's only a 4-point deficit for Hunter Reeve to Adam Poppenhaus, and the open category still seems pretty closed up right now for Dustin Burkhalter, who gets his first overall victory, the first overall win that has not gone to Chris Walsh all season, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So that was a special one. But I mentioned that guest interview, and we always have some great guest interviews here for the Operation eMotorsport races, and we're just going to get right into it. We have a couple of great guests from RECARO, and we'll bring them in, and we'll get Dina and Mike into the broadcast booth. Guys, welcome to the Pit Stop TV broadcast booth here for the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So Dina and Mike, we were talking a little bit pre-race about some of what RECARO is, and Dina, I'll just defer straight to you. Go ahead and tell us all about RECARO's history, and where you guys are at now.
Okay, so just to give you a real quick snapshot, RECARO's was started a little over 40 years ago by my parents. And it's a telecommunications company. We manufacture communications equipment that helps people connect. Among other things, and of interest to this particular market, we're a supplier of command and control solutions primarily for the military, but also for any application where interoperability and or the security of conversation is paramount. We've been the equipment provider for communications in remote or hostile areas as well, and that includes commercial and civilian places that are hard to reach or difficult to maintain. So think Alaska, South Pacific, places like that where you wouldn't generally have easy access to the equipment. So it's very rugged, easily deployable, and impervious to most hostile environmental conditions. What we've done regarding the military, we've been supplying to the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Marine Corps, the Canadian Department of Defense, and those are just this year, but we are actually all over the world.
And so I'll turn over then to you, Mr. Mike Sweeney, and ask about your role, because we're told that you are the VP of Strategy with RECARO. Tell us about what that means and what you do with RECARO.
Yeah, thanks. So strategy in the civilian world is really akin to planning in the military, in the military sense. So essentially what we're doing is we're setting long-range objectives from a product development perspective, and then we're building the plans to allow us to get from where we are today to where we want to be in the future. And of course, the secret of that is staying ahead of the government requirements. So it's a lot of time interacting with people, trying to figure out where the military wants to go, primarily in the tactical domain. So we're really focused on kind of the brigade level and below, and working to make sure that our future products meet their demand signals as they're adjusting their requirements to adapt to future threats.
And so as far as RECARO applies to motorsports and Operation Motorsport, Dina, go ahead and tell us first a little bit about what you guys do with OpMo and how you guys work together, and then Mike, kind of anything else you have to add.
So I was first introduced to OpMo through my contacts at Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen is my home track, and I spend a considerable amount of time there. So for those who don't know, what I do in my spare time, when I have spare time, is I like to go racing. So that put me in contact with a lot of people at various racetracks, and It was, I believe, Mike Crinnup, the president of Watkins Glen, who put me in touch with Tiffany. And I actually met them when I was participating in one of the races for World Challenge down at Virginia International Raceway. And we started talking, and I learned a little bit more about OPMO and how they help facilitate the transition of veterans to the civilian life, and particularly through motorsports. Now, since we have our own team, we thought this would be a cool way to get people involved, but that immediately morphed into how can REDCOM work with them? Because we like to help the military. Not only are they our customer, but we support them. 14% of our workforce are veterans. And also, we're always looking for good people to come work for us as well. So it just seemed like a really good relationship to start. And it's still relatively new, and we're exploring a lot of different options for how we can help.
Yeah, from my perspective, I'm a fan of any organization that supports veterans. And so when Dina approached me about this, I thought it was a great idea. So anything we can do to give back to those who have given so much for us, it's a great opportunity for us. And as Dina said, very veteran-friendly company. We do a lot of outreach with the veterans in this area. So we just thought it would be a great fit, and really appreciate what you guys are doing for our veteran community.
And so you guys mentioned working with the U.S. and Canadian militaries. And so, Mike, obviously can't go into specifics or anything, but just some of the generalities. What do you guys, I guess, at least what can you tell us about how you work with both the U.S. and Canadian militaries and how that relationship is? I mean, getting to work with some pretty cool people as well.
Yeah. I mean, we do get to work with a lot of very interesting folks. So generally, for the Army, what we're doing is we're taking capabilities that used to be based in hardware, really at the brigade and below level, and we're providing those same type of capabilities in a software solution, specifically for the Army. So what that does for the operational force is it reduces their size, weight, and power requirements, which translates to increased mobility, increased effectiveness, increased efficiency, and those are all things that the Army say are going to be extremely important in future conflict. And so that's what we're doing for the Army in particular. We're making them lighter, we're making them faster, we're making them more effective through our software-based products. Canadian military is a little different. They're using a combination of our software and our hardware-based products. So the hardware-based products really extend the reach from the command and control architecture because we solve so many interoperability problems for them. Those of you that are familiar with or comfortable with technology understand that when you're in the government space, the further you push that technology down the chain of command, the more complicated you make it for the people, at the lower echelons. And so we kind of resolve those complications by focusing primarily on the interoperability. So work in the unclassified, classified, top secret domains. And so for Canadians, we're solving those interoperability problems to let them communicate across their enterprise on those various classifications of networks. So we do software primarily for the Army. We're doing hardware and software solutions for the Canadian D&D. But all of that in totality, we're solving problems for them and making both organizations more effective and more lethal.
And so, of course, I always like to wrap up with our guests just talking about what might be next. And obviously this year has been a massive, I think, wrench in the cogs as far as moving along through 2019 into 2020 and then hopefully onto 2021. How does 2021 rather look for you guys with REDCOM? What might be the next step in the future?
Well, I'm going to jump in a little bit and say that 2020 was tricky, but we managed to get through it, and we're still in the process of working. We haven't slowed down at all. Our factory's been fully open. We've had some obligations that we've had to meet. We also have a contract manufacturing division. So we've been able to keep up with demand those of us who can, we work remotely when we have the opportunity to. From the motorsports perspective, that has kind of been a wash for the entire year. You know, I managed to squeak one race in, and it wasn't a particularly good one this year. And we are simply focusing on our efforts for that for 2021. On the business side, we're going to try to build on what we've done now. We believe that the exposure that we're getting with the Army is going to get a lot of attention, and we'd like to expand our reach further into the military with our solutions. Now, we can't talk completely about our strategy because that would be telling you things that we just can't tell you at this point. But 2021 is going to be a really exciting year. We really think that this is the setup for it.
Yeah, and from my perspective, one of the things that I think highlights, to everybody is supply chain issues as it relates to COVID. So we're more conscious of the fact that we get a lot of our products overseas and offshore, and I see one of our strengths moving forward is we're one of the few DoD contractors, if you will, that has a U.S. manufacturing capability, and I expect that to become more and more relevant as the U.S. government figures out that, hey, we should probably start buying these electronic components from the U.S., and we're well positioned to do that. And the other thing I would say is people, as security concerns become more and more prevalent, we provide solutions that help you with those security concerns, specifically as it relates to voice, video, and text or chat. And so anybody who's in that business, you can think of people in the racing industry that don't want others to hear their, what they're doing on the racetrack, or you can think of the first responder market. We're uniquely positioned to provide them with some unique, secure solutions that, again, will ensure that things that they want to keep, inside their network stay inside the network. So we're well positioned for both of those, and then I'm looking forward to, what's coming at us in this, the end of this year and next year.
Well, it's been a great time then of learning both for our sake and everybody watching at home about REDCOM. And of course, you can find out more information about REDCOM at www.redcom.com. You can see that web address right on the bottom right of our graphic right there if you're watching the broadcast. Thank you guys, Dina and Mike, for your time. It was great to learn about what you guys are doing, and hopefully maybe we get to talk to you guys more in another stream possibly and hear about how 2021 is maybe going next year. But we'll get there when we get there, I guess. Thank you guys again for your time, and have a great night.
All right. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I want to thank them again, Dina Weisberg and Mike Sweeney from REDCOM. It's really cool of them to sit down and spend some time with us, of course, and just talk about what they do with REDCOM and basically how that applies to Operation Motorsport, how that applies to the U.S. and Canadian militaries. That's pretty darn cool. That's not something I ever thought I'd be doing when I started 2020, that's for sure. So it's been a tumultuous year, definitely, but some cool things are coming from it, let me just say. Speaking of some cool things coming from it, we've gotten the chance now to cover Operation eMotorsport all season long, and Noah, this has been a really cool experience and a really cool opportunity for us, and it's another pretty good opportunity for Chris Walsh to get a win this evening, as he currently sits atop the qualifying standings. He would be the current pole sitter if qualifying ended now, but there's still just over 4 minutes to go.
You win a race, you want to keep the momentum going, and that's what he's going to look to do here. This isn't the new Charlotte per se as to what it is because of the change to the backstretch chicane. That's one of the first things I noticed about this. The current chicane is you're hard on the brakes, and then you're making that hard, like 90-degree left-hander, and then you're just going back into it. So it's more of a chicane. This one's kind of a little bit more of what like a shorter Watkins-Glen bus stop, so it's a really, really fast circuit. But I've driven the MX-5s when they host it here on the weekly events, and it's just so much fun to drive. So I'm expecting a really, really good race out of these guys, because I haven't been able to watch most of the races, but just seeing by how many great drivers there are in this field, I expect some amazing racing here tonight.
And so we're on board here with Hunter Reeve as he goes flying down the backstretch, and we'll see him tackle this backstretch chicane. This is the 2018 version of the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. So the first version that was run since their big reconfiguration of this racetrack and addition of the NASCAR Cup Series to that lineup here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, so as well as the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So that's a pretty big deal, and they're actually making a pretty big addition this weekend, adding the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Challenge. I probably got that mixed up. It is WeatherTech, right? Anyways, adding IMSA to the lineup this weekend. Happy enough to be saying I will be going to that one. I'm beyond excited to see some GT cars rip around this place in a little while. Somebody else who's ripped around this place actually just went right over the curbing right there as David's going to park it in the grass. But we should actually take a look at the point standings once more here, Noah. Chris Walsh has all but dominated all season long, but suddenly last week, Dustin Burkhalter getting that big win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. He puts a big move on Shane Hunter right there, and they wreck here in qualifying. But Burkhalter just suddenly out of nowhere is really, really quick, and he might have a shot again tonight to get a win. He is a little bit behind where he needs to be right now in qualifying, but still looking pretty good.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get a little used to how the points here work, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this turns out. But, I mean, you can't really argue 4 class wins for Burkhalter and 5 class wins for Walsh. They truly are the class of the field in their own rights. So, obviously great for them. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how this all turns out, and I'm just ready to get this race going because we already saw how aggressive they were in what I kind of call a cowabunga corner. Because of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle that was painted on the curb. And that's kind of the move he made. It was like a cowabunga move, just diving on the inside. Hopefully we get to see some more aggressive racing, and hopefully they don't end up spinning out. We get to see some close door-to-door racing going around this track. I see, man, you're really aggressive with that curb. That is not a curb you want to be riding over. That's like a speed bump for these guys.
And you mentioned that you're still getting used to the point standings, so I've left this graphic up on the screen for a reason, because it's actually a good chance to educate everybody and maybe even yourself. But Chris Walsh leads the blue drivers right there. Adam Poppenhouse leads the green, and Burkhalter leads the yellow. What that means is we have 3 different divisions that are racing against one another at the same time. It's like class racing, multi-class racing, in IMSA, for example, except they're all in the same cars, and they're all competing in the same, quote, class, if you will, because they're all in the same cars. There's no differences between the cars at all. The only differences are the drivers. And Chris Walsh has just absolutely dominated all season in the pro class. Daniel Morat has run a few races, and David Levine joined us last week for the first time at Indy. Joins us again this evening at Charlotte Motor Speedway. In the beneficiary class, which is Operation Motorsport beneficiaries, mostly veterans. For example, Adam Poppenhouse, a double amputee that is just so good in these Miatas. He currently leads with 2 class wins, but Hunter Reeve, who is pictured on your screen right there in the pit lane, he's been very, very good as well, and is only 4 points back of that battle. Dustin Burkhalter, Jake Williams, Rick Hazlitt, they are the open drivers. They're basically anybody who is still connected to Operation Motorsport in some way, or just found the league, whatever, and wanted to race. That's the open guys. So that's why they are in yellow. They're just kind of running for their own stuff. So they're broken down into those 3 categories, and they all race against one another, but they all have their little battles in between just to kind of break things down into the smaller battles. That's why we only show the top 3 of each, because they are smaller battles, and there's only 3 pros, actually. We only had 2 on the graphic for so long until last week, David Levine adding his name. We do, of course, thank everybody for tuning in and everybody for their long-standing support of Operation Motorsport and Pit Stop TV. And I'll just go down the list real quick and thank everybody. RECARO, Redcom, Mobile One for doing everything they do to support OpMo. And, of course, our partners as well, Tucson Sound Art, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, and Whiplash Media. Let's tell you guys a little bit about RECARO. Quite simply, whether it's on the track or iRacing, RECARO Automotive is all about making driving feel safer, more comfortable, and more controlled. A driving experience that you can really feel. And of course, since day one, Mobile One Advanced Synthetic Motor Oils have been a part of every Corvette racing win. That tradition continues with a new mid-engine Corvette C8R, and you can actually race that on iRacing now. And I have the line somewhere. I gotta get back over to it, but that's pretty darn cool that we can now race that Corvette C8R, the first mid-engine Corvette, that is now available in iRacing for anyone looking to experience the exhilarating mid-engine performance of the C8R in the virtual world. Noah, qualifying is wrapping up here in about 35 more seconds or so. Chris Walsh has not wavered from that pole position so far. Adam Poppenhaus currently sitting second. Dustin Burkhalter representing the open category. So each of our points leaders are the top three in qualifying currently.
Yeah, and honestly, Walsh is, again, like you talk about, he's in the pro class. He truly is in the class of his own. He's over a half second faster than Poppenhaus, and long down the line, the biggest gap you really see is at about 2 to 3 tenths, but he's about a half second faster in second place, so he really has this track figured out. But that top 10, for the most part, very tightly packed, and that's going to be very interesting to see, because the top 5 is separated by less than a second, and they're all separated by about less than 2 seconds. So it's going to be an incredible night of racing from Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I'm very excited to get this underway.
I am as well. And before we get things underway, of course, we want to walk down your starting grid. And of course, that means that's the wrong one. There we go. There's the grid. We'll start right off with Chris Walsh, the pro driver who has just been so good all season long. 4 overall wins. He almost got that 5th last week until he made it through only 12 of 13 corners with fuel, and then ran out at just the last second. Loss of positions there in the late goings at Indianapolis. He finishes somewhere down the line. What matters is Dustin Burkhalter got that overall win, but Adam Poppenhaus is going to start alongside pole sitter Chris Walsh. In 3rd place is where you get Dustin Burkhalter. Shane Hunter, another open driver, joining him in row number 2. We go back to row number 3, and that's where we find Jacob Williams and Hunter Reeve, another beneficiary there in the number 46 car. And finally, in row number 4, that's where you see David Levine, the other pro in the race. Callum Belden alongside him in 8th position. Starting in the 9th spot, Theo Brolsema, a fan favorite beneficiary as well in that number 24 car. Brian Burkhart, though, rounds out the top 10.
Starting back in 11th is going to be the 59 of Rick Hazlitt, and then starting alongside him is Joe Keens in the 243. Starting back in the 13th position, you're going to find Tim Bernard. In the 47, on his outside is going to be John Winker in the 07. Starting back in 15, so we're going to find Brian Winker. Alongside him is going to be Jay Gleason. And then rounding out the last row of the field is going to be Glenn Gray in the 45. And rounding out the field is going to be Mark Bray in the 946.
So 18 cars on tap this evening. I think that's a pretty consistent number with most of the rest of the season. We've got 3 races to go, beginning here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We also have Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Now, I want to say our finale is at Laguna Seca. I'm going to check back in on that right quick, because for some reason, I'm unsure of that, but I'm pretty certain that it is Laguna Seca before we have the iRace of Remembrance at Sebring, and I just want to check in on that. Yes, so WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca will be our finale of the season after Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in 2 weeks' time. And then make sure to come back to Pit Stop TV, where we're going to have coverage of the iRace of Remembrance on November 8th. And that's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. We've got 6 hours of racing. So our first endurance race here on the channel, that's going to be pretty darn cool. Very, very much looking forward to that. And really just that whole weekend, of course, that is following up Veterans Day. So that's why they've chosen that weekend for the iRace of Remembrance. So Noah, as we get ready to get going racing for 60 minutes, we've seen a few 60-minute road races in our time now here at Pit Stop TV, but this one's going to be a little bit different because it's going to feel like a sprint at first, just trying to get through those first few laps, and then the length of this race, I think, is going to set in.
Yeah, obviously with how tight this pack is and how racy this track is as well, just because of the tight corners, and really the only part that you get a chance to breathe is in the oval corners of 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And these first few laps are going to be these drivers racing their hearts out, trying to open up a gap so that way they can actually have a chance to breathe. And then after about, I would say, 4 or 5 minutes, you're going to see these guys try and settle into a little bit of a rhythm and try to work their way up either through pit strategy or just trying to outlast them on tires or some sort of situation like that. But regardless, we're going to have an incredible night of action from Charlotte, North Carolina, and this is going to be incredible to watch as they get ready to head to the bus stop, and we get to see that Porsche pace car pull off the pit lane.
And this is where you'll see that different backstretch chicane from what we now see. This is that very fast, just quick left-right flick that definitely caught a lot of drivers off guard when NASCAR came here for the first time. I think it was Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace, I think Ryan Blaney got caught up in there in practice alone. So that is going to trip these drivers up as well. And I think they're looking forward to the chance to run through that kind of chicane because it's so fast and so challenging, but at the same time, it could give us a couple of incidents this evening, so we'll have to watch out for that. Thank you, of course, for tuning in to Pit Stop TV. There's a lot of places you can go watch an iRacing race, but thank you for being here, both on our Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter channels, and the Operation Motorsport YouTube channel. We are getting ready to go racing for 60 minutes from Concord, North Carolina. Chris Walsh leading us to the final chicane, and we are green flag racing at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. They get going at speed into turn number 1.
Going into the heartburn turn now, because thanks to that chicane start, which isn't really usual to what the Cup Series actually do. They usually run through that dog leg at the exit of 4, but here on iRacing they go to the chicane. That really allowed Walsh to get a jump on the start, and he is running away with it right now as Poppenhaus in the 12 goes wide onto the flat part. That's not where you want to be, because if you go on a flat part, the car is going to understeer like crazy, and these cars already understeer as it is, so you get on a flat bit, it really ruins the corner for you. And now the 28 is going to try and set sail as he makes his way through the two left-handers back down to the curve. He gets ready to set for the first 2 corners of the oval.
Some blinking issues there for Poppenhaus, but he gets things sorted out, it looks like, as he races in second place. Burkhalter hanging on for now to third. There you see the blink for Poppenhaus. Chris Walsh, big lead on lap number 1. That's surprising to see that he's gotten that far clear out, but this big draft of these drivers are going to get around this oval portion of the speedway, is going to bunch them back up before that very tight left-right flick chicane. There's a group of cars about 3 wide for the back. We'll see them go through the chicane in a moment. They all get through as far as the leaders go. Brian Burkhart and more coming through now, and this is around the 10th spot. Joe Keynes, Brian Burkhart, Callum Belden in 10th. Oh, I think we had a spinner. We do. That is, is that Theo? No, that is John Winker, I think. I'm trying to get to it. Yes, John Winker around on lap number 1 through that chicane.
While that's underway, Chris Walsh will lead the first lap. Poppenhaus still holds on to second as they make their way back towards the infield. Burkhalter actually closing in. He's right on that back bumper. He was really close to being able to make a pass there in turn number 1. He's going to try and chase him now to that long tubing left-hander. And again, back under that Bank of America bridge. You got to be very careful. You do not want to run that corner wide, or you'll see me saying hello to that tire barrier on the outside. They're now going to go down this little tiny chicane, getting ready for what I call dead man corner, because if you're not careful, you're going to go right off that edge, and it is a straight shot in the tire barriers, and it's so hard to get out of. So you got to be very careful. Very slow sweeping corner, and Burkhalter still all over the back bumper of that number 12. He's going to try and maybe set something up for the backstretch chicane maybe, or maybe set up for that last turn chicane.
He sets himself up pretty well out of turn number 8, around 9 and 10 on this big oval here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He's got a big slipstream now up in behind the number 12 car of Poppenhaus. We'll see if he can do anything with it. You see the wide shot of everybody coming flying into the backstretch chicane. Chris Walsh cleared these guys by quite a bit. Now they run through nose to tail. Poppenhaus, Burkhalter, Poppenhaus nails the turtle curves on the inside. The left side of that car very dented up, and you've got to be so careful of that because it's very easy not only to damage your suspension, your bodywork, but also your power plant, your motor, and that can really catch you off guard. Oh, and he gets the sausage curves again. Now he's sliding. That, I think, will be a time penalty.
Indeed it will, and look at how much that bunched up the field. Second through fifth under a blanket right now. Burkhalter and the number Poppenhaus, my mistake, in the 12 is going to have to get that time back, and that's not what he wants to do, because look at that. That's about 7 cars, or 5 to 6 cars right there in that one shot. It has really bunched up the field as they try to make their way through these corners and try and settle it down, but that really tightened up the fight, and that's exactly what Walsh wants to see. So he's going to set sail and look away from these guys in that number 28 Mazda. He makes his way back through the second set of that left-hander before making his way to the oval, and he is looking already at a 3-second lead, and by the time he gets back around the line, it might be up to 5 to 6 seconds. He is just running away with this in early goings.
It's already 5 seconds as they re-enter the oval in turn 8 and 9. And this is a big gaggle of cars from Shane Hunter all the way through David Levine. Poppenhaus still blinking a bit, so that could also affect his chances this evening. But the top 3 now, Chris Walsh, Shane Hunter, Dustin Burkhalter. Hunter Reeve all over the back end of Adam Poppenhaus. We'll see if he tries to make a move into turn number 11, I guess would be the chicane. David Levine, and that is Jacob Williams almost side by side. Levine sits back and gets a run through the chicane now. We'll see if anybody tags those sausage curbs. Nope, not yet. And we'll see if Joe Keens or any of these guys get it as they come sliding through that chicane. It's so tough to go through there at full speed. Oh, in fact, there is one. Theo Brolsum, a big crash.
Really big crash down there in the backstretch chicane. And again, the number 12 of Poppenhaus overshoots the last turn chicane, trying to make a 2-for-1 move back up to second. What we forget to focus on for a minute there is that not only are we looking at the overall race, but because of that mistake from Poppenhaus from the lap ago, that actually changed the lead in the class for the open division. Shane Hunter now holds on.
Jacob Williams around David Levine almost as well.
Really big spin. It's really hard to pass there, and sadly they're going to catch that and some big issues. They're still trying to get settled down. Jacob Williams, a huge collector in that, as he was trying to look on the inside of, I believe that is Poppenhaus. He goes in there. Oh, he just gets squeezed there, and everyone's just trying to avoid. Now he's sitting backwards, has nowhere to go. He's just trying to hopefully not get hit.
There's the replay of it, and we'll see how Jacob Williams is now doing as he is back on the racetrack along with the number 12 of Poppenhaus. They get back going, but man, that is so tough. There is a side-by-side battle for second place. You mentioned the lead switching hands in the open category. Well, it switches hands again, back into the hands of Dustin Burkhalter as he gets the sausage curbs. It's so tough not to get those curbs on the inside, especially on that exit, because you charge into the corner, right? And you've got to have such a fine line. You've got to get it just right, or that's exactly what happens. You nail those curbs on exit, and you go for a wild ride. We've seen it catch a lot of these guys out already. That is going to be the talk of the town all 60 minutes here at Charlotte Motor Speedway's Roval.
Well, I talked about it in qualifying, pointed out just how aggressive they were with the curves. That's exactly what we're doing. A little bit of two-wheeling action made by Burkhalter going to the chicane, as you saw. That was a little impressive there. Got a little bit of a skills move. If you remember Monster Jam, they do a skill set move. That would have probably gotten a good score out of that, because that was really impressive to pull that off. He still holds on to the class lead in open, but still overall in second place, opening up a little bit of a gap over to Hunter. Reeve in the fourth position, starting to close the gap on Shane Hunter, but still just checking away. Already in the turn 1 oval is Walsh, and he is just running away with it right now. He sees all the melee going on his mirror, and he is like loving it, because that has let him open up a really huge lead in early goings, and he's right now in control of this entire race.
Problems for Joe Keens. We just saw, and he's going to almost hook. Who is that? The number 2 car of Brian Burkhardt. Contact there. Wow, this is some crazy racing so far from Charlotte. Keens got sideways up out of 8 and got up into the fence, entering turn 9, entering the oval out of the infield. Then he made contact with Burkhardt. Now they go racing through the chicane. Do any of them get caught out? Not quite yet. This is some great racing all around. Rick Hazlitt is through to 6th place, just ahead of these guys. Burkhardt now in 7th. Joe Keens in 8th. Callum Belden along with him, that blue car with the green mirrors. He's a beneficiary. He's in 9th spot. And Jacob Williams has recovered into 10th position for now. Theo Brolsma has, of course, taken to the pit lane. He has taken his fast repair. Adam Poppenhaus as well. In fact, he's leaving the pit lane right now. So those guys getting some repairs are, I think, in both of their cases, fast repairs. Chris Walsh continues to lead where the battle is on for second and through the rest of the field.
And we're looking back there towards Keens, Burkhardt, and the rest of those drivers. That's actually the fight for the last place on the podium in the open class. Currently Hazlitt owns that position, thanks to the little bit of a fight going on back there between Burkhardt, Keens, and then the beneficiary of Belden. That has let him open up a little bit of a gap of breathing room as he starts to sail away there in about the 6th position, maybe looking towards David Levine in the 259 as they make their way back up to the oval. That's a very clutch corner that you need to make, because once you get that exit, that sets up the exact amount of momentum you have for the rest of this corner. If you mess up that corner, you're going to be slower than everybody else for the rest of that turn. You're going to be a sitting duck. You've seen it happen time and time again myself. You exit that corner, and then you're basically jumping your seat like, come on, go, and they're not going. You see those cars behind you getting bigger and bigger, and then by the time you get that chicane, they're already looking on your inside. So that's a very, very tight corner that you need to get it right, or else it's going to ruin your momentum for the rest of the lap. As right now, Walsh still holding on to the lead, as Hunter is actually starting to close down the gap to Burkhalter for the overall second position NU class open lead as they complete lap number 7.
We've got big problems for Adam Poppenhaus. He gets caught out by these curbs again, goes for a spin, and I think this might do it for his day, which is big, big trouble because he's only 4 points ahead of Hunter Reeve in the beneficiary points lead. That is going to shake things up. Hunter Reeve currently in 4th place overall on the racetrack. He's 11 seconds out of the race lead. Another second, it looks like, second and a half out of 3rd place Shane Hunter, but I mean, regardless at this point, Hunter Reeve is going to have a good day in points. He's just got to hang on to that race car, not damage it too much, because really, everything's on his side right now. He's just got to save time, not lose too much time. Meanwhile, up ahead, we've got a battle now forming for 5th place. I guess it's actually behind, because this is the 2.59 and 5.9 of David Levine and Rick Hazlitt. We saw them battle a lot at Indianapolis Motor Speedway there, Noah, and the racing once again, this time for 5th spot.
Yeah, David Levine still holding on to the race lead. He is 2nd place in the pro class. Rick Hazlitt currently holding on to the 3rd place in the open division as they get ready to set through that, like you said, to flick the left-right chicane. It's my current. If I had to choose, this is one of my favorite parts of the racetrack between the 2 Charlotte versions. I've always loved that corner. I'm sad they got rid of it. I understand it was more of a passing opportunity, but it was so much fun. You just send it in there and be right on the edge, and that's exactly what a lot of these drivers are doing. They're right on the edge and they're catching those turtle curves exactly the same way that a lot of NASCAR drivers did when they went through here. Look at the 59 of Hazlitt. Again, he jumped the curbs and he's going to take over the 5th position thanks to that. So again, these drivers really, really aggressive on the curbs, but that is allowing them to gain so much time compared to everybody else who wanted to take it nice and easy. Nope, Hazlitt says, I'm going to jump like a speed bump, and he just sets sail with a huge amount of momentum, and now he finds himself in the top 5.
That's incredible that wasn't a time penalty for Hazlitt. I thought he was up over that time penalty gate for sure, but he gets the pass made, gets 5th spot from David Levine, and Levine now falls to 6th and almost into the hands of Brian Burkhardt. These 3 put on some great battling 1 week ago, and they continue to do so. There's also a little battle further back. Callum Belden, Jacob Williams. There goes Jacob Williams by Callum Belden. That is for the 8th spot rather, as Jacob Williams is beginning his tear back up through the field. That 32 car fast in practice, fast in qualifying, and just gets caught out by that incident with Adam Poppenhaus, starting to begin his recovery through the field. Brian Burkhardt, big issues. He spun around in turn 8.
Yeah, I saw him spun there in the apron. I'm going to try and look back at what happened. It looks, yep, he's going to come through. You see him coming into the curve. He's going to set back down to that little dip as he sets to get ready for the momentum towards the oval. Big slide for a lot of those drivers, and yep, the back end just steps out. He tries chasing it, and sadly, he's able to save for the most part, but then it just goes around. And very, very bad position to be in on the very bottom of the track, because a part of the track that a lot of drivers like to use, and he's going to get going. He's going to lose a couple positions, didn't hit the wall, so he'll be fine for the most part. I think the only thing that's going to be hurt is a little bit of his ego, but other than that, he's probably fine. He's going to try and set sail to go back up to this field again.
Jacob Williams has now lost the 7th position to Callum Belden. They get by the 2 car Brian Burkhardt. They've actually gone up a position each, and now they're battling for 7th spot on the racetrack. And Williams lost that spot back to Callum Belden. Not sure how it happened, but we're going to see how it happens, or I guess how Williams gets it back, rather. That's the correct wording there, is a big mistake right there out of turn number 4. This is going to put Williams up the inside into turn 5. Maybe not, because wow, Callum Belden, driving very defensively, just outbrakes the 32, says, no, I don't think you're going to pass just yet.
Yeah, like I said, that's a dead man's corner. If you set in there a little bit too deep, you're going to find yourself right off the cliff, and you're going to be stuck in the tire barriers for a good minute while they try to get back up there. He did really well on holding on to it, but he's not going to get the momentum off of this corner. Like I just said a couple laps ago, if you don't get the right momentum off that turn, you're going to lose so much time compared to everybody else, and that's exactly what the 32 Williams did. He takes back the 7th position, as now he's going to try and set sail as they go into the chicane. It looks like the 13 is going to lift it a little bit. It's going to give him more of a lead. He goes again curb hopping over the shuttle curbs on the exit of the chicane, as now that allows the 32 of Williams to set off currently about a 2 car length lead over him as they set up into the last chicane.
Now through the final couple of corners, 15, 16, 17, and they exit back onto the front stretch here, and Joe Kienzle further back, he's missing his right side mirror. I think that's from when he got up into the fence a few laps ago. but he's hanging in there. A little bit of right side damage, never hurt nobody. Chris Walsh continues to lead. He's got 10 seconds back to Dustin Burkhalter, but Adam Poppenhaus right behind him. This is not for position. Chris Walsh just leading that lapped car around. I think he must have just got by Poppenhaus after Poppenhaus makes his return to the race course. Dave Levine racing. Rick Hazard at least trying to contend with him right now because the 59 car just looking a bit better than the 259. And Jacob Williams still trying to now get away from Callum Belden. But Brian Burkhardt, how about this? He's in a battle now with Tim Bernard.
See, coming back down to the little turn you saw, Burkhardt, he's spun again. He's just trying to tear his way back to the field and gain all the positions he lost. Currently looking to get back into the top 10. He's going to, like I said, a really good exit on that corner. That's going to give him a lot of speed for the turns 1 and 2. He's going to look on the inside of the 47 of Bernard, and he's going to just clear him with ease there as they sit back towards that backstretch chicane. You have to see the 47 has any bit of toe. He does. He might look to the inside. They're going to go side by side through that backstretch chicane, and the 2 is going to let him have it. He's going to 47 is going to send it on through, and he does not hit any of the curbs. Perfect chicane. He's going to run away with that position.
That's incredible. I'm very surprised that we saw anybody try that move, honestly. I did not think we were going to see somebody try and go side by side. 15 minutes in, Tim Bernard makes a power move, a big statement by going on by Brian Burkhardt. Thankfully, Burkhardt lifted for him to facilitate that pass. Another battle on the racetrack is Mark Bray and Theo Brolsma. Despite Theo Brolsma having that big crash in the early goings, he's actually caught up to Mark Bray in the 946. This is a battle for 15th spot, rather.
Yeah, you gotta think maybe those fresher tires that he might have took, even though it might not be too big of a difference, is gonna help him a lot compared to that number 946 of Mark Bray as he set off towards turn number 1. Currently, he still holds on to the position, trying to chase down Glenn Gray, who isn't that far ahead of him, actually. He's now sitting towards that Bank of America bridge. Right now, the 946 of Mark Bray is still holding on to it, and Brolsma and that beautiful Mazda throwback is, again, Bray going on the flat part of the corner. He holds on to the position, but again, that beautiful Mazda 787B livery on the 24 is currently setting sail as they try and take over the 15th position.
We're on board here with the nose cam from Brolsma's machine. He's going to get a big run at the 946. Mark Bray off in turn 6 and loses some time. Now Brolsma's got to figure out what he wants to do with him up around the oval. Bray very slow again at a turn number 8, and this should be an easy pass for Theo Brolsma if he can continue his momentum. They're side by side. This is a drag race around the oval, Noah. I thought Brolsma was going to carry right on by. I think he lifted, though, to make sure Mark Bray didn't, I guess, catch him off guard or whatever, just to make sure he was safe through there. Now Brolsma going to try and beat Bray into the chicane, and Bray lets him have it. So Theo Brolsma up to 15th position.
Yeah, Bray held on with the bottom line, making Brolsma go around the long way, which ended up costing him a lot more time than it would if he had the inside. So that's kind of my guess on why it took so long to pass him. But in the end, Bray just lets him have it towards the backstretch chicane. So now he has a pretty significant lead compared to Mark Bray as a complete lap number 11. The 24 going to set off sights on Glenn Gray, who is about 2 seconds ahead of him. But Brolsma is a man on a mission. He just sent it into turn number 1 with a full head of force, and that just closed down about a half second, I would assume, on Glenn Gray, because he is really going to start getting bigger and out of 45's mirror, as he might get the pass by the time he gets to the apron. He might see the same move that he pulled on Bray a lap ago.
We've got an early pit stop here for Jacob Williams. I'm not sure if this is scheduled or not. It seems very, very early to be his scheduled pit stop for the afternoon. Of course, these guys do have to pit at least once in this race for fuel, but that seems very, very early for Jacob Williams. Theo Brolsma, of course, he already pitted because he had that damage. John Winker has pitted recently as well, but it seems like he might have pitted after damage or something. It just seems really, really early to come in and pit. Tim Bernard caught up in that fight with Brian Burkhardt. Burkhardt's going to go on by. I've noticed that Callum Belden's up a few spots as well. And here's Joe Keats going way over the curbing there in turn 17. Let's see what happens to these two drivers.
These two have been fighting hard for the last few laps. You're going to see the 243 go on the outside. Very tough corner. Jimmy Johnson couldn't even pull it off. Ended up out-braking himself. And kind of almost the same scenario. Jumps right over it. Does a little bit of a rally cross setup. Ends up coming out side by side. But obviously the time penalty is going to allow the 13 to clear him. As you see him a little tail slide on the exit of that corner as he set up towards the two left-handers. He currently holds on to that position still, but man, that was a very close call there.
Meanwhile, way up ahead, Hunter Reeve is in trouble because Rick Hazlitt is on a tear right now. This 59 car is looking good, and he's going to go right on by Hunter Reeve just ahead of this backstretch chicane. It is, well, actually, everything ahead is pretty well sorted out. He moves into 4th spot. Shane Hunter is 4 seconds back at Dustin Burkhalter, who's 13 back at Chris Walsh. Behind these guys is David Levine in the 259. He's just solidified himself in 6th. Joe Keats in 7th. And this battle continues on with Callum Belden. And I'm not sure these two can find a way away from one another.
Yeah, well, that's going on. There's actually is a fight for the overall lead. Well, not the overall lead, but the class lead, however, for the open class. Because you're talking about Shane Hunter there in 3rd. He's actually was on the back bumper of Burkhalter.
Joe Keats down the pit lane. He's going to come in for his pit stop. This, again, is a bit early. I wonder if we might have had maybe too many incidents, damage, something. I'm not sure if this is actually a scheduled pit stop. This is a bit early.
Well, you see, he has a little bit of the damage on that passenger front wheel well there, so that might be causing him a little bit of an issue to cause him to pit early. Yep, he is going to use the fast repair there, so there goes that. So he's going to take his first pit stop of the night and surrender the 8th position. So we're going to have to see where he cycles out through all that.
Meanwhile, David Levine is starting to catch Hunter Reeve and will go on board with the driver out of Statesville, North Carolina. And David, just getting into this series, I talked to him throughout the week, and he is just so happy to be now involved with Operation Motorsport and the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League. He said he's super thankful for this opportunity to be able to race with these guys and find some new opportunities as well. He's been in racing for a while. That's why he's in the pro category, but to always find new people and race with new people, especially a group like Operation eMotorsport, or well, Operation Motorsport rather, is really cool for him, he said, and he's going to try and put a pass on Hunter Reeve, and Hunter just gives it to him into the final chicane.
And that is going to, oh, he's actually going to overshoot that last chicane, so he's going to have to give that position back. Yep, he's going to fall right back behind the 46, but expecting the 46 to give it right back to him. Yep, he's going to let him go by, and now the 259 is going to hold on to that top 5 position. He's trying to chase down Rick Hazlitt there for the 4th position.
We're being told that 22 incidents equals a stop-and-go penalty for these drivers, so we're assuming that's what happened to Jacob Williams and that's what happened to Joe Keats to give them their unscheduled pit stops. I would expect these guys to come in closer to about the 30 or 25-minute to-go mark. It seems like the strategy lately in these 60-minute races has been to go a little bit past halfway, about 25 minutes left in the race at furthest, and that's when you want to come in and pit, and you can take less fuel, less time in the pit lane, more time racing. Hunter Reeve trying to challenge David Levine back, but actually I think he's just kind of riding around at this point. I think Hunter knows that he's kind of run his tires off, and that's something that's interesting about these guys is sometimes in these hour-long races, like the Northwest GT3 Challenge that we watched yesterday, you don't have to take tires. Those GT3 tires can hold up for quite a while. But these Mazda Miata tires, they get worn out pretty quickly, it seems like, and these guys generally opt for another set of tires on their pit stop, which is something very interesting to me. I'm used to the endurance race kind of situation where you can double stint, maybe even triple stint tires throughout the night. So the fact that these guys are taking a set of tires in this hour-long race is very interesting and adds a whole nother element of strategy as they race through the final chicane here. David Levine starting to put some time on Hunter Reeve. Looking throughout the field, though, Noah, everybody else pretty well separated.
Yeah, just like we said, for these first few minutes, it's going to be a little hectic because drivers trying to jockey for position to get as much as they can in the early goings, but once you get into about the 1/3 part of the race, you're going to start to see people settle down. You'll see some fights throughout the field, but this is just typical endurance racing. It starts hectic. Once you get through those first few minutes, people just start to settle in the rhythm because they realize start's over, there's 45 minutes left, there's no real point to be pushing as hard as we are and end up having a chance of wrecking each other. So why not just try and run it out and wait till those last 25 minutes? So that's exactly what they're trying to do. That's why you're seeing drivers give the position up rather than fight for it because they don't want to end up causing a wreck in the early going. So, ooh, Levine really wide out of the exit towards turn number 1. That will give Hunter Reeve a chance to pass him, but it looks like he did not have enough momentum to get it done. So he's going to fall in line as he exits off of turn number 2. And you see them now go down the back straightaway as he goes into the backstretch chicane. He lifts off a little bit and Levine does not, and he just sets sail as they head off towards turn number 4 now.
These two still racing very, very closely, and I mentioned that David's got some practice here. He won the Lucky Dog Racing League along with the rest of his David Levine Racing team when the Lucky Dog Racing League came here in August. Yes, August 15th that weekend, and they were second place in the first race of the weekend through Friday and Saturday. It was actually split up into a 4-hour, then a 3-hour, then won the 10-hour enduro. So he brings a bit of practice here in a Mazda Miata, a different Miata though, an NB as opposed to this ND, because Miatas are classified in NA, NB, NC. Anyways, you get the picture. So the NB is much older, I think in 1990 that he ran, and yeah, he's got a bit of a leg up in the real world, but he's still getting beat, which I think is just a testament as to what these drivers can do on iRacing. They can beat somebody who's got pretty darn close real-world experience here at the Charlotte Roval in a Mazda Miata. That's pretty incredible to me.
Yeah, it just tells you just how much time and effort these guys put into and how much talent they really have. Because that's one of the great things about iRacing, is it gives everybody who has enough money a shot to do something like this, where they go out and race the pros and they can say, hey, I beat so-and-so in this race, and like, there's a little bit of a bragging rights along with it. So when you have the opportunity to race real-life drivers, that's one of the big pluses about running on iRacing. I ended up in a session with Tanner Gray, who runs in the ARCA series. So, I mean, you just tell it in NASCAR trucks. So again, just no matter where you go, you never know who you're going to find. I know Tony Stewart actually lurks around a bit in the dirt scene. You see him off and on again.
Looks like we might have a slow car here somewhere. No, I think it was somebody just blinking out. I saw the relative flashing. I thought maybe we had trouble somewhere on the racetrack. Chris Walsh continues to lead. We're coming up on halfway, and actually he's been in the wall at some point. The right side of that car rather wounded. The AOA Motorsports number 28. I don't know if he's been on the wall out of the oval, coming back onto the oval from the infield, or maybe somewhere else in the infield. I'm not really sure, but the right side of that car rather wounded. We'll see if that affects him. Dustin Burkhalter, meanwhile, a very clean number 33 as he races in second place. Shane Hunter hangs on to third spot as he has gapped Rick Hazlitt just a little bit, who sits in fourth. David Levine, we mentioned him in fifth, racing with Hunter Reeve right now. For the back, Callum Belden has solidified himself in the seventh spot. He is the second beneficiary on the racetrack. Hunter Reeve is your beneficiary leader. So that's actually very important for that points battle. Brian Burkhart, 8th place in the overall standings, and he sits fourth in the open category. Tim Bernard, a beneficiary. He's doing pretty darn well for himself. He's racing in 9th, and that is third in the beneficiary class ahead of Brian Winker in 10th.
Back there in 11th, Theo Brusima, who has really took a charge to the field. He's now eyeing Brian Winker for that top 10 position. Behind him is Jacob Williams at number 32. Racing in the open class. The person behind him is Jay Gleason, who's also racing in the open class, so that's a fight going on there for, I believe, around the 5th or 6th position in class. Then it's just Glenn Gray right behind them by a good bit, and then he's the first car lap down. John Weaker in the beneficiary class around 16th, 17th, you're going to find Mark Bray, and then on the last position is Adam Poppenhaus, who had the early race incidents that ended up costing him a big amount. He's trying to kind of salvage what he can out of tonight.
And this has just been a terrible race for him. It looks like he's sorted things out, and he's actually been with Chris Walsh for a while now. Just racing there with him is Joe Keens, also now one lap down in 14th spot, but just an awful race so far. Oh, actually a mistake out of the chicane for Keens. Almost checks him up into the front end of Poppenhaus. Thankfully, Poppenhaus saw that coming and was able to avoid down on the apron in turn number 3 of the oval. No penalty for going down below that double line here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. But Poppenhaus does not get a position from that. He just gets, I guess, to keep following Chris Walsh, as he is 18th spot, 2 laps down again. Just a really not his day for sure, Poppenhaus. And he's been so good for so long now. I guess at some point he's got to have at least one bad day in this 8-race series, and I think it just happens to be here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
And while you're talking about not having a pass for position, someone who did was Theo Brusima. He is now up into the 10th position, and then there was a pass for the 5th position in the open class. Now Jacob Williams finds himself in the 11th position as Brian Winker has been a little slow off the pace the last few cars. I don't know if he's just trying to let people by and bide his time, or if maybe something's up with that car, but he just let 2 drivers right on by. So now Theo Brusima, who has had a tear to the field since his pit stop, now finds himself back in top 10. And then Brian Winker and the Jacob Williams in the number 32 takes over the 11th spot. Now eyeing the number 24, maybe for that top 10. He might get it here in this last chicane as he exits off the oval turn number 4.
Callum Belden, Brian Burkhardt onto the pit lane for their pit stops. I'd assume this is scheduled. Other drivers who have been in recently would be Mark Bray and Joe Keats. I think Joe Keats was for a penalty. Mark Bray may have been as well. Let's see. Theo Brolsma. No, he keeps going. Where is the other driver that came down? I guess nobody just yet. So I got mixed up there. But Brian Burkhardt on the pit lane with Callum Belden. These two, I'm assuming, getting their halfway fuel stops done right here and getting some tires as well. And they should tear back onto the racetrack. Meanwhile, race leader Chris Walsh also down the pit lane. And we'll see. I would imagine that he is going to take his faster pair as well, because that car is a little worse for wear as it's a race out of the pit lane. And that was, I got to get back to him. That was, there we go. They're side by side now, but dang, we almost missed that one. Callum Belden beats out Brian Burkhardt back onto the racetrack.
Yeah, they're still going to be right beside each other, door to door, coming off of that corner, heading up to the double left-hander now as they make the run up the hill. Really, really good fight out of the pits now, but thanks to the pit stop by Chris Walsh, we now have a change for the lead, as now Dustin Burkhalter in the open class now takes over the overall lead. Obviously, not going to hold on to it by the time he pits, but he's going to enjoy it for now. But still, that fight going on there between the 2 and the 13 there for what is about the 7th position. They're going to side by side with these two turns, the oval 1 and 2, as now the 2 is going to clear the 13 as they head towards the backstretch chicane once more.
Coming up out of the banking onto the backstretch, and they're going to race down into the backstretch chicane. I think it's turn 11, turn 12. And single file, they've started to separate now. Callum Belden seems a bit quicker on the long run, but Brian Burkhardt going to utilize that faster pair and put some time on him here. Tim Bernard into the pit lane as well here. Let's see, we've also got Jay Gleason. We've got Brian Winker that are down the pit lane. Several drivers coming in for their pit stop. The pit road is a very busy place right now. There's Jay Gleason. Cars that have not pitted just yet. The 33 of Dustin Burkhalter, the 927 of Shane Hunter, the 259 of David Levine, and the 46 of Hunter Reeve. Everybody else has come in or is coming in for their service. And you see some cars up on jacks right now. There's Brolsma getting set back down. Bernard is leaving. We've got the 18 of Winker back there, the 11 of Gleason. Everybody getting their service quick here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And they'll race back out of the pit lane. There goes Brolsma. And we just got to wait for leader Dustin Burkhalter to make his move down the pit lane.
You see David Levine now holding on to the 3rd overall position. Shane Hunter currently holding on to the 2nd in the 927. But again, the current race leader is Dustin Burkhalter leading the open class. There is a fight for the class open if those two, the class open lead, if those two catch up. As Shane Hunter is about, I believe, somewhere around 3 seconds back at the moment, but he looks like he might be closing that gap lap by lap. But again,
we got someone around up here. Someone is taking out some cones. I think that was the 47 of Tim Bernard. As we were watching a battle with Theo Brolsma and who was that? That was John Winker. No, Brian Winker. Anyways, they get that sorted out. But, big issues for the 47 of Bernard as, he actually almost caught David and Shane as they came, David and Hunter as they came through turn 7 and turn 8. Let's see what happens to Tim Bernard here. Big problems for the 47 car. Just gets loose and takes out all of those cones. Every single one of those cones. That's perfect in my mind. That is a perfect run through every single one of those cones. That's impressive.
Yeah, if Wii Sports get that strike soundboard up, and see he went through the dip, a little bit quick of a switchback as he exits that corner down into the dip. Really easy to do that, and man, that was just perfect. Luckily he was able to turn around there because he would have taken out the flower beds along with it, but nope, he's just going to turn it back around and then just take a little cone with him for a good measure, throw some debris across the racetrack and just drag that with him for a good bit as he now gathers himself back up and tries to tear it back down as he's right now 13th on track. As you see him again
That might be my favorite moment of the season. We've had some great moments so far, but I think that's the best one. That is just amazing. As Jason Leach said in the Discord chat, he goes bowling right there. That has to be my favorite moment so far of the season. That's awesome. I mean, it's not awesome for his race, but that is just amazing that he manages to get every single one of those cones. That's incredible. This time he gets on by them, and they've reset those cones down there, making the track marshals do some work.
Yeah, and because of that, there's now a 3-car fight going on for the 12th position. They're all a lap down, but still it's Brian Winker in the number 18, Tim Bernard gathering himself back up in the 13th position, and John Winker back there in the 14th position, and number 07 Resilience Racing Mazda, as you make your way through, again, that really, really fast turns. I believe 11 and 12 is what you said they were, as you make your way back towards up onto the oval, getting ready for the front stretch chicane, as the two leaders are in, Burkhalter and Hunter, both entering at the same time. David Levine going to follow him in as well. Hunter Reeves as well. As now Chris Walsh is going to resume the race lead this time by.
So this is everybody else making their way down the pit lane. You see David Levine there as well. Hunter Reeve comes in. So everybody else that had not pitted, those top 4, they come in, and Chris Walsh is going to assume the race lead. Now, we were asked a little while ago, and I didn't notice this until just now. We were asked a little while ago for a full lap on board with Chris Walsh. We'll go ahead and give it to you here, and we'll just let you listen to what Chris Walsh is doing as he gets around this place rather quickly. He's actually coming up on a battle as well. Whoa, big accident here down the back stretch, and I'm not sure who that was sideways. Man, was that Tim Bernard? Oh my gosh, it was Tim Bernard. Big accident here. We were on board with Chris Walsh, and let's see, Bernard goes racing. Oh, you can't try and pass. Oh my gosh, Tim Bernard. Oh, that's a big hit for him. He just, I think, tried to pass Brian Winker there, and you can't pass in this chicane, unfortunately, and that's what happens.
Yeah, that's what we've been waiting to see. He a little bit of squeeze there, but there wasn't really much room to capacity, so he's just out of control there along for the right, and man, what a violent impact. We've seen that kind of stuff in the Cup Series, like you said, Bubba Wallace made stuff like that. I believe Alex Bowman was another. It's just, you can't really go too wide in that corner, and that's why right there, because in the Cup Series, those tire barriers are moving. Here in iRacing, no, you move. So instead, he goes ricocheting back onto the racetrack. The big damage. Once you hit those curbs there's nothing you can do. You might as well just let go of the wheel so that way you don't break a wrist or something like that, because that is just a very hard impact.
If only he had hit those cones again, right? Because those move out of the way for you. But he gets back on the racetrack, gets his fast repair, and he'll continue on. He has fallen to 15th position on the racetrack. A battle up ahead is the couple of Winkers, Brian Winker and John Winker, in fact. As, they were racing with Tim Bernard, but Tim Bernard now exits that group, and these two can carry on, but Brian Winker all over those sausage curbs up out of turn number 12, now through 13 and 14. The second portion of the oval, the north portion of the oval, as they race down to the final chicane. Time is ticking away. Down to 22 minutes now as Chris Walsh is ahead of these guys. He's put them one lap down. Brian Burkhalter is battling with Joe Keens. He's a little ways back, actually. I think Keens might have just grabbed a piece of the wall as well. So he's going to back himself up to his open category contender. And up front, it's all Chris Walsh, Dustin Burkhalter, Rick Hazlitt now in third, Shane Hunter in fourth. Jacob Williams, I'm not sure if he has to pit again, but he is in fifth spot ahead of David Levine, so that's big for the number 32 car. But this battle continues on now, side by side, into the chicane. We've seen this not go well. They sort it out. That's incredible stuff between Keens and Burkhalter that they keep going like that, but that could have been bad.
Yeah, again, you can't go side by side to that corner, and luckily the 243 Keens decided better and just given a position to choose to fight another day, because that could have been a very bad incident as they then make their way through those final few corners. Very tough corner to go through because you could just easily cut it or just lose control of the car altogether. He had a little bit of a slider is going to cost him more time, but now he surrenders that 8th place position as they head back towards turn number 1. Little bit, there's almost a fight going on there. The gap seems to be slowing a little bit lower and lower as Hazlitt tries to chase down Burkhalter for the overall lead in the open class. In the second position, still Burkhalter is just running away with second place, but then no one can just catch up to that number 20 of Walsh, who's trying to deal with the lap car of Jay Gleason as they head their way. As look at, there's a little bit of nose damage there on a 20. I don't know where that came from, but that is some significant damage to the nose of the overall leader.
Brian Winker loses his spot to John Winker right there. I don't know what the relation is. Oh, yeah, that is a ton of damage to Chris Walsh's machine. We've got to go back and see where this comes from. Oh, he's turned around. He has nosed it into the barrier, and cars went on by. We're going to get a great look at all of this. Big issues for Chris Walsh, and the lead is now cut down to just over 3 seconds and closing. We'll catch up on that in a moment. Can Dustin Burkhalter capitalize and go 2 in a row now? Here's the mistake for Chris Walsh. Oh my gosh, and 2 cars go by him, creating a banana split here, getting back onto the racetrack. I think that was Hazlitt and somebody else as they get back going. Or sorry, Walsh gets back going. That is incredible stuff. He's got a ton of damage. This might bring Dustin Burkhalter right back into the conversation of winning here at Charlotte.
Walsh has got to be yelling at himself inside that Miata right now for that simple mistake that cost him so much. I noticed that. It's like, did he hit somebody or did he lose it? And apparently he lost it. So, man, that is a tough blow to the lead there, as now Burkhalter has cleared the 11, so now he has his sights set on the number 28. This is the first time we've really seen a fight for the lead go on. Possibility of that coming true, as the 28 still holding on to a pretty good sized lead, not 17 seconds that he once had, but still, you can't argue with 3.3 seconds. That is a very healthy lead to have, but it is closing fast as the 29 is on all cylinders. The 33, my mistake.
Oh, he's pitting. There goes Chris Walsh into the pit lane. Dustin Burkhalter going to take the race lead. Oh my gosh. The gap now from Burkhalter to Hazlitt is 3 seconds. Hazlitt could get a race win if he can make up that time. But right now, Dustin Burkhalter suddenly the favorite to win at Charlotte is Chris Walsh with big issues.
And because of that, that now makes the entire top 3 all the open drivers. And by the time Jacob Williams gets around, that's going to make a 1, 2, 3, 4 in the open class. David Levine is going to take over the pro lead in the class as Walsh pits. So that's going to hand David Levine over the class lead there. So that's a really good scenario for him as he makes, what did you say, his second start in the series?
That's right, his second start here in the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League. It looks like he might have a shot at this. He's actually got a big gap back to Chris Walsh, who is still in the pit lane. This is everything that David Levine needed if he wants to make some noise here. So big day for him, but Dustin Burkhalter, this is incredible that he's going to have another shot to win. All he has to do is bring this car home in one piece. He's got over 3 seconds back to Rick Hazlitt. There you see him in the background. So, I mean, this race is still up in the air. These 3 could still do some battle, but right now, Dustin Burkhalter with a great advantage. All he has to do is keep getting around this place for another 18 minutes or so, and he's got it wrapped up.
Walsh has now finally exited pit road, but he lost a lot of time there. And then all the damage has been repaired on the nose from the looks of it. And that's exactly the kind of situation that I was asking about, is you see these drivers use their fast repairs for a little bit of side damage. And I'm wondering, why would you waste the fast repair like that so early in the runnings? And it's for situations like that instance, because he lost a lot of time sitting in the pits getting the damage repaired, but he had the fast repair. He would have been in and out quickly. But instead now he has to sit there and loses a lot of time to that. As now it does hand the lead. Not only does he lose the overall lead, he loses the class lead. As now Dustin Burkhalter sets sail on a possible another win of the season. Rick Hazlitt trying to deny him that in the Resilience Racing number 59. Shane Hunter 927 not too far behind him for third. So this battle for the overall lead is far from over. With what you said about 16 minutes, anything could happen from here. Jacob Williams looking to knock on the door. What a comeback it would be for him after spinning out in the early goings if he could get a possible win here today at Charlotte. And then David Levine in his second start of the series. running in the top 5 and with the pro lead. How great for him would it be if the man who has raced here before in a Miata, not the exact Miata, ends up getting a win in his second start in his home state.
Anyways, yeah, so Dustin Burkhalter, big stuff for him. 16 minutes to go. Rick Hazlitt, he's just got to start pressuring. I'm not sure what he can do. It's just going to take a lot of time gained at this point, and he's got to not let Shane Hunter gain any time here, Noah, because this is still anybody's race at this point, at least now that Chris Walsh has had his big issues, and we haven't had a battle like this between 3 open drivers for the race win ever so far in this series. This is incredible racing, incredible way that the turns have tabled, I suppose, here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Chris Walsh has gotten by a couple of drivers. He's up into P9 now overall, but he's got to make up 56 seconds to Dustin Burkhalter. I don't think that one's going to happen.
Yeah, very tough time to gain back, but sadly it's just the cars that he's been dealt with. He's going to have to take his stride. It sounds like there's a wreck somewhere deep in the field. I heard a big wreck. Jacob Williams, from the look of it, as now... Yeah, very big incident as Andrew, you're going to work hard to try and find it. I heard a big hit in a wall. I don't know if it was maybe iRacing messing with me there. Tim Bernard, who, I believe that's the 47, who's been having so much struggles since his first incident. It just gets worse and worse. And you try to see the replay on exactly what happened there and see going through what I call the Cowabunga corner because of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, spins it there, gets walled, and ooh, very close call there for the 46. He goes to the inside and avoids him. You have to see if anything else happened, or maybe if that was just it, because I have my camera set up atop of the press box on the front stretch, so I could hear it clear as day there, but I thought it was a really hard hit in the wall.
We have one of those as well. In fact, we're watching from one right now as, a bump trap from Poppenhaus to Tim Bernard down out of turn number 9. Turn 2 of the oval. Poppenhaus backs out of the chicane there to let him have the corner. Rick Hazlitt still has company from Shane Hunter, and it's worth mentioning we saw that pit stop from Jacob Williams. He has come in for service, and has he possibly left? Because I'm not seeing him. It looks like he might have left the race. He's losing spots as well. But that gives 4th place to David Levine, which is big for that pro driver in his second start. He's now got an extra position overall, and that's some extra points as well.
Yeah, big problems for Jacob Williams if he has, in fact, disconnected. That would be a hugely costly mistake as the race still rages on. As right now, Rick Hazlitt holds on to the second spot. Shane Hunter has caught up to him. He is right on the back bumper, so the fight for not only the second overall, but the second in class raging on as the gap about 4.5 seconds between Hazlitt and Burkhalter as Levine trying to chase down. He has quite a bit of a gap as the gap from first to third is 5 seconds. The gap from first to fourth, David Levine, is around 29 seconds. He's just kind of running his own race there in the top 5, but the fight for the second overall position is heating up right now.
And we're seeing a battle on our screen as well as Poppenhaus has cleared the number 47 of Tim Bernard. They now pass Jacob Williams, last point that he was on the racetrack at least. Let's quickly recap the field before anything gets too much more hectic. John Winker, currently in the 18th position, dead last right now, but he should get at least 17th, if not some more positions. He's had some issues here. Looks like he's had a couple of spins or so to drop him back, as he was actually further ahead in the field. I'm not sure what happened to the number 07, but Mark Bray is ahead of him. He should actually pass. Well, yeah, Winker's going to pass Williams right here. So Jacob Williams done for the day, but Mark Bray in 16th position. Now he started 18th.
I hate to interrupt you there. Big problems for Brian Burkhardt. He said he was done, and in fact he is. The left front wheel came disconnected. I think he hit the barrier at the exit of the chicane again. Or really not again, but for the first. But again, we see that as he comes to the chicane. Yep, he's gonna hit the curves and airborne! Man, I see him goes through there. He's gonna hop the curb and man, what a violent impact into the outside retaining wall.
That is a massive incident here for Brian Burkhardt. He was running in about the 7th, 8th, 9th position or so, and he's now losing so many spots. Brolsma passes him in the pit lane, and wow, that is incredible. That is incredible. I have not seen a Miata take flight like that.
I give the air time about a 9.5. That was pretty good. But man, that is such bad luck for the number 2, as he was running so well. Last time I checked, he was running in about the 6th position, but sadly that's all going to go away as he now takes the long drive down pit road. As another driver who almost had a similar incident was a 59, he got up on those curbs. 2 wheeling actions is going to cost him a lot of time to the 927, who is now closing in the gap as he looks to be having a bit of connection issues as for himself. As we do see Tim Bernard, I believe. No, Tim Bernard's already in the pits. I saw someone just enter the pit road. Doesn't look to be any of the leaders, as the fight for seconds still raging on here in the closing minutes of this race.
Well, the two Bryans on track now battling one another. Burkhalter trying to defend from Winker. Burkhalter hangs on to 10th spot now, having exited the pit lane. They're both open drivers, and Burkhalter right behind. That could put Winker into the top 10, as Winker's right behind Burkhalter. The race leader still Dustin Burkhalter. We can try and recap some of the field here in a moment. Is actually, oh wow, Chris Walsh has somehow put himself back into 6th place. This is incredible stuff, and he might have a chance at getting Hunter Reeve, depending on how the rest of this race goes. He is on a mission right now, as he is up into 6th position. That's incredible stuff from Walsh. But picking up where we left off, Mark Bray is, well, actually, looks like we have Jacob Williams back in the race field, and oh yeah, Tim Bernard possibly done for the day. Jacob Williams there as well. John Winker's in 16th, and Mark Bray is in 15th. Glenn Gray is in the 14th position, and he started 17th, up a few spots as well. Adam Poppenhaus, he had a great day going at first, started 2nd place, but is now 13th position, was dead last there for a while after his early incidents. Oh, and it's another one. He saves it maybe. That was incredible. I don't know how he hung on to that race car. Jay Gleason is in the 12th spot, which is actually a pretty darn good run for Jay. I'd like to see him getting up towards that top 10. Might be able to still get that top 10. Brian Winker mentioned him trying to get up to Brian Burkhalter. It sounds like that battle has separated itself here, Noah.
Theo Brusselman, who pitted early, now rallies himself up into the 9th position, last car on the lead lap. Running in 8th is Callum Bilden, and it's number 13. Chris Walsh said incredible rebound after a costly mistake that lost him lead, now up to the 6th position. In the 5th spot is we're going to find Hunter Reeve in the number 46. 5th is we're going to find your pro class leader, David Levine. Running up in the 4th is David Levine. Running 3rd is Shane Hunter, who is fighting Rick Hazlitt for the 2nd overall position, and your leader now currently is still Dustin Burkhalter.
So you see this battle actually for 2nd place in the racetrack heating up, and they've been nose to tail here for a while, but still racing one another now as we go into the final 8 minutes here. Just about 8 minutes, 8 left, and man, what a race we've had this evening here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We got smoke here, actually, though. Who might have been around?
It was the 32 of Jacob Williams. He actually almost caught the number 33, Dustin Burkhalter, along with him. They're exiting turn number 1. Williams, I believe, might have gotten into the gas a little bit too aggressively, and then look how close that was for the race leader.
As soon as Jacob Williams comes back, he's got big problems, and it looks like he might be done once again. You hate to see that. You hate to see somebody have those big issues where they feel like they're better off just leaving. I really hope he comes back and finishes this one out and rejoins us next week at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Meanwhile, Dustin Burkhalter into the final 7.5 minutes of this race continues to lead, and he's got a pretty sizable gap now to Rick Hazlitt. These two just cannot separate one another, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some late race battling, but I think they're going to ride around until then. Chris Walsh has not quite left Joe Keens, though. I'm kind of surprised by this. Chris is kind of just hanging on in 6th position. Joe is kind of keeping up with him right now.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty big gap between him and Hunter Reeve in the 5th position. So right now, he's just kind of biting his tires. His last lap was a 129.5. Hunter Reeve's last lap was a 130.8. So about a half second is the distance between those two. It's about over a second is the difference between those two. So Chris Walsh, again, just a man on a mission trying to regain any of the points that he has lost because of that incident as he tries to chase down Hunter Reeve. But again, if he gets clear of Hunter Reeve, it's not possible. It's not exactly possible unless David Levine makes a mistake, which right now doesn't look to be the case. But if he does, that could put him back into potential for the Pro Class win.
And we haven't talked enough about Hunter Reeve, actually, because he is our beneficiary leader. And he's running 5th on the racetrack, and Hunter is trying to get, I believe, just his third class win here in the beneficiary category. He's split those up with Adam Poppenhaus the whole way through. I think Hunter got the initial win at VIR. Forget where his second win was, but Poppenhaus has won the other 3, and now coming into the 6th race, they're going to split it up evenly. They just might go 4-4 when it's all said and done at Laguna Seca. These two have both just been so good, but I think Poppenhaus has just been a little bit better aside from when he has these bad races and has these mistakes. Wow, that was some yaw in that number 46 through turn 3.
On the edge is exactly what these Mazdas have to be run at to be at the pace that they are. As you see him there running through the infield section of the racetrack. Again, a little bit of a tail slide as he makes his way through the dip back towards the oval. Going to run it right about where that blue line is, and he's going to try and cut it through there to get as much momentum, to get as much speed as he can on corner exits as he sets his way around the long turns 1 and 2 as he sets up for that backstretch chicane.
We'll tab right back over to that battle with the 927 trying to chase down the 5.9. This is the battle for second place in the race, and Shane Hunter's been so good today, but Rick Hazlitt has just been a little bit better, and capitalizing on those mistakes from drivers up ahead as Hazlitt gets a bit of that grass as well out of turn number 4. These guys are just, they've kept their car in one piece. That's the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing when it comes to these races. An hour long, you've got to make it all 60 minutes, and then some, actually, is sometimes it goes a bit long, and that might be the move that Shane Hunter needed out of Rick Hazlitt, because Hazlitt made a bit of a mistake there in the infield trying to come back onto the oval, but he actually gets a big run back onto turn number 9, which is that first oval turn, and he gets a big, big gap up ahead of that 927. These guys just continue to battle. Man, I don't know when this is going to end, but it seems like it can only last for so long.
Yeah, with 4 minutes left, gloves come off at this point because we're coming close to what could be the 2 to go mark with the lap times that they're running. As the gap under a second between those two, so they're going to go as hard as they can after one another to try and take over the second place position, because that's also second in class. That's really big for their points battle. You see him going through the last few bits of the turn as he completes lap number 37. That's how fast it's gone. It's already lap 38, but still only 5 seconds ahead. Not nearly as big as what we saw Chris Walsh have, but still a pretty comfortable lead as Dustin Burkhalter just biting the laps as again he's coming close to seeing that white flag and possibly getting another win here this season.
I think everything is spelling W-I-N for the number 33 of Dustin Burkhalter. He's just been everything he's needed to be so far today. He's been quiet and he's been good, and that's the biggest thing, is you just can't make big mistakes like we've seen Chris Walsh now do today. And I would even argue the big mistake last week where he underfueled the race car and ran out of fuel as those two came down to that battle at the very end. And that's what it comes down to. If you want to win one of these races overall, you just cannot make any big mistakes. You can make the little mistakes, run wide in the corner, whatever, but you can't have those big catastrophic issues that Chris Walsh was having today and last week at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that's why Dustin Burkhalter is suddenly in a position to go 2 in a row, but he does catch those curves, and he's just got to be careful. Just slow down here, Dustin. You've got 5.5 seconds back to Rick Hazlitt and Shane Hunter, who continue to battle nose to tail.
Yeah, and again, he's coming close to that 2 to go mark, so he just needs to keep it clean. 5 seconds is a lot of time. He does not need to be pushing as hard as he can, but obviously these are going to be the 2 longest laps of his life, because regardless of how many times you win in a league, each win just means more and more to you, because a win in iRacing, or even in any racing series for that matter, is so important because you never know how many you're going to get. So these 2 laps are going to be grueling long for him compared to any other lap he runs this season, or any race that matter, as he still holds on to a 5-second lead. All he needs to do is just keep it clean and not make any mistakes, and he'll probably take home this win.
Just staying on board with Shane Hunter right now, because this is the best battle on the racetrack, and I think this is going to come right down to it, right down to the bitter end between these two. And all it's going to take is Rick Hazlitt to make one little mistake, and Shane Hunter's going to be there and have a chance to pounce. quite like the Carolina Panthers, actually. But Shane Hunter's got to get a big draft at some point and try to make a move, I think, into one of these chicanes. You can't really do it in the Baxter chicane, can you? Because it's just so hard to actually run and make a pass through there because it's single file in that chicane. It's so quick. It's that left-right flick, and if you make one little mistake, you are in the barriers like we've seen so many times so far this evening. Dustin Burkhalter may be coming to the white flag right here. We're going to be under a minute to go when he crosses the line.
And now he exits off of the oval turn number 4, back down towards turns 15, 16, and 17. We should possibly hear the white flag come out as now he exits out of the corner. We don't see it just yet, but I believe it's just going to run out the clock and then the white flag. That might be how it goes. Now Burkhalter crosses the line.
Yes,
for
white
lap
flag, final lap.
So, yep, it is the white flag. So this is the final lap, and now the fight for the second spot is going to have to heat up because if Shane Hunter has anything left in the tank of the 927 to take over second spot, he needs to do it now because that number 59 has opened quite a breathable lead for the most part if he can keep it clean and not run any curves. You see smoking the tires, Shane Hunter again. Like I said, gloves come off and he's putting everything he's got into that Miata to try and take over the second spot.
The 12 car of Adam Poppenhaus has had to come back down the pit lane. Looks like he was short on fuel the rest of the way. He may have also got an incident penalty, not quite sure. But Adam Poppenhaus back into the pit lane, going to hinder his day, and he's going to lose another spot or two and go back 2 laps down. He might even lose a position to, let's see, it would be to John Winker if he can get there. Well, it looks like actually Poppenhaus back on the racetrack, but this battle for second place, it has split up, and it's all Dustin Burkhalter this final lap at this point. He's got quite a ways to go, but he's got a big, big cushion to Rick Hazlitt, and 2 weeks in a row now, he's just been exactly what he's needed to be. He's been quick enough to be right there with Chris Walsh. He's been quick enough to take advantage of when Chris Walsh has made a couple of mistakes. Be it running out of fuel last week at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, having a big wreck at Turn 8 this week at Charlotte, Dustin Burkhalter capitalizes and wins at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Rick Hazlitt going to follow him and finish second place. Shane Hunter grabs the bottom spot on the podium with a lot of damage here, and he's going to be limping to the start-finish line. We're going to follow him through the start-finish as he just loses time, and big problems for him. David Levine going to come through, and in a moment here, he will finish in 4th.
And with that, he will take the Pro Class win as he exits off towards turns 15, 16, and 17. He capitalized on a mistake made by Chris Walsh, and it's going to give him his first win of the season as now he crosses the line. He will take the win. All eyes now on Hunter Reeve, who now makes his way down towards 15, 16, and 17, as now he will take the Class win in the beneficiary category. So congratulations to him as now we have all 3 winners for the classes here tonight, but all eyes on Dustin Burkhalter, who takes over the win in the overall category and the open class.
And he's going exploring as well, I think, through the infield, finding his way around there. Looks like he's going to park it before he interrupts anybody's finish, but man, what a big day for Dustin Burkhalter to now go back-to-back in overall wins in the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League. Let's check in on these guys finishing the race up. It looks like Callum Belden crosses the line in 8th, Theo Brolsma in 9th, and I think everybody else 1 lap down or more. So Theo Brolsma, the final finisher on the lead lap. That's big for him as well, actually, to make sure he stays on the lead lap and get some beneficiary points, because he's going to finish on the podium in the beneficiary category. So that's big for he and Callum Belden, 2nd and 3rd on the beneficiary class list. But the top 3 in the open class were the top 3 overall, and Dustin Burkhalter is going to burn it down. Man, that's another big day for him. That's just incredible. He's now gone back-to-back here. Incredible.
Yeah, back-to-back at the trackers where Jeff Gordon got his first wins. He wins in Indianapolis where Jeff Gordon got his 2nd, and now he wins in Charlotte where Jeff got his first ever career win. Obviously not on the oval, on the road course, but nonetheless, a win at Charlotte, Indianapolis is a big deal, and he's going to burn it down there. And that 33 Miatas, he's going to enjoy every moment of this win.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we will step away and get ready for our post-race coverage here from Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League. We thank you for joining us through our coverage so far, but please do not go anywhere because we've got some exciting post-race interviews with each class winner just on the other side of a very, very quick break. Again, don't go anywhere. Don't go to another YouTube video or what have you. Stay right here with us. We'll be right back at Pit Stop TV.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
We welcome you back to the Charlotte Motor Speedway and the post-race coverage now of the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League here on Pit Stop TV. What a race we were just treated to here, Noah Carmichael. It was a fun one. There was a lot of drama this evening, and definitely a lot of the point standings will be shaken up, which is going to be exciting for the 7th round of the season in 2 weeks' time at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We've got some race winners to talk to, and we'll go in order of finishing position here because we, of course, have our 3 classes, and we're just going to start right off with Dustin Burkhalter. And Dustin, wow, back-to-back. 2 big mistakes for Chris Walsh, 2 big capitalizations from you, and you are an overall race winner now 2 times here in the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League presented by RECARO. What a big win for you.
Surprised I'm actually here. I definitely had accepted that I'm going to be behind Chris that whole race, and Charlotte, it's not much room for mistakes, especially that last chicane, and I should have wrecked out like 18 or more times on that one, and Chris just got unlucky on one and got the speeding penalty and just sealed the deal.
Yeah, so obviously the talk of the town was that backstretch chicane and just trying to miss those sausage curbs all over the racetrack as well, actually. As a driver coming into this race, and I mean, we've seen some very diverse circuits so far, but how do you prepare for a place like Charlotte Motor Speedway with this Roval and these big sausage curves, especially that backstretch chicane, utilizing the 2018 version that's so much faster? It's really just a left-right flick.
In theory, it's a left-right flick without a lift on a Miata, but it's a crapshoot as to whether that's going to work. And even lifting, it still, like I said, almost killed me a bunch, and spent all the time practicing, trying to find a safe line through there without lifting, and then pretty much gave up today and just decided to lift and keep it clean and hopefully end up doing better than I was. If I can't go fast, I can be safe at least.
Well, hey, that's what it comes down to, keeping your car in one piece, because if you don't, you're like those guys who had to take fast repairs and fall down the running order. But in the end, you end up holding this car together. You lead 17 laps. How do you feel for these back couple of races? Because you're just extending your points lead now. Are we going to move you up to pro at some point?
I hope not, because unless Chris keeps making mistakes, I don't think I've got everything to actually battle him. We'll see at Canadian Tire or eMotorsport, because it's got a few gotcha corners, but it's a pretty fun one to actually battle. There's a few different lines you can run, and Laguna Seca I am just not a fan of. I haven't run it in a while, so that one may just be his, hands down. But hoping to not end up in pro, because I don't know if I can take him, but I want a clean race where we actually battle to the end, not 2 laps before the end of the race. Or in this case, 17 laps before the end of the race.
Well, regardless, you get that big race win. Looking forward to these last couple of races. If you had to pick one position somewhere in the field, where do you think you'll finish?
Canadian Tire, I'm hoping 1 or 2. That's where I'm predicting. And then Laguna Seca is a crapshoot. It's been so long since I've run there. Hopefully top 10, but we'll see.
And now before we let you go here, Dustin, anytime we talk to you guys, we like to, sometimes get that background on how you found Operation Motorsport and what your connection is. So just go ahead, tell us how you found Operation Motorsport in this Operation eMotorsport iRacing League, and your, I guess, hopeful future then with Operation Motorsport.
Looking for a good Miata league for a couple months now, and stumbling through the Advanced Miata forum, I saw a post by Jason, and Operation Motorsport League military members are get priority, and then obviously the beneficiaries, and active duty, EOD tech, and I figured I'd apply, and it actually turned up being a lot bigger than I thought, and started looking into the program after I actually sent the application to Jason, and it sounds like a great program, and definitely something I'd like to try to get involved in once I get out. And
absolutely. Well, Dustin, what branch are you serving in? What are you doing?
Army and EOD. I'm currently in Operations NCO, but I hate saying it's the Hurt Locker. That's where everybody knows EOD from. I was the guy in the big green suit.
Well, Dustin, we appreciate you and your time. We thank you for your service, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you a whole lot more the rest of this season, and maybe even in that iRacer of Remembrance on November 8th.
Got a team we've already submitted, and we're in and hoping to carry on our success in the BMW.
Well, hey, we will see you there on November 8th. Congratulations on the big race win this evening. We'll be talking to you more.
Thank you.
And that's race winner Dustin Burkhalter. Noah, I'll just give you David Levine here. He's only in his second race here of the Operation eMotorsport bunch, but he gets the pro win this evening.
Well, David, you might have a little bit of experience here, but regardless, in your second start, you get a pro class win. Must be a pretty big night for you.
Yeah, it definitely was a pretty fun day here with the Operation Motorsports crew. It was the Whiplash Motorsports, Whiplash Racing team brought me a great car too, which made it a lot of fun to drive. But I think that Chris was definitely the class of the field, and it was kind of unfortunate for him that I think he said he had some motor damage or gearbox issues, but it kind of sucks for him. But I'll take it.
Now, we were talking a little bit, you raced in real life with these, but a little bit of a different Miata. What would you say is the challenges of trying to race your real life Miata versus the iRacing Miata that you raced here tonight?
So that's actually a really good question, buddy. There's a couple really big differences. First of all, this car is based off the 2016 street car, and my car was built in 1990. So there's definitely a significant size difference in terms of the car. I feel like my car is probably 400 pounds lighter, definitely down on horsepower, probably in the in the 80, 90 horsepower range if I had to guess. And because of that, this car is bigger, it's taller, and compared to my car at least, this car feels a lot softer, which it was something that I was talking with a couple of the guys in here about last week. And it was a big adjustment for me last week and then this week to go from, the 1990 Spec Miata series car that I've got to this car here on iRacing. I feel like every time I get on the brakes, the rear end wants to walk around, and I've had to work on adjusting my own driving style a little bit to kind of deal with the setup that we have. Because I'm sure, as you guys have gone over in your awesome broadcasts, this is a fixed setup series, so there's no adjustment. If it was me, I'd probably change a little bit of the suspension setups in the rear, just change the compression and the rebound a little bit, just to try to settle the rear down for me under braking. But obviously, we can't do that, and it's the same for everybody. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing that I noticed between the two cars.
And besides, obviously, the difference in cars, what would you have to say was in the setup, for that matter, what would you have to say was the biggest challenge in learning this course here tonight to race with elite class of drivers like these guys?
Yeah, like you said, this definitely a field of elite drivers for sure. I guess the biggest thing for me is every time, or the last couple times I've raced here at Charlotte, in real life at least, I've been running the current NASCAR chicane as opposed to the old bus stop. And that was really throwing me for a loop probably every lap. I felt like I was probably losing 3-4 tenths from the entry to the bus stop all the way down to the final chicane on the front stretch. I feel like that definitely was my weak point all night compared to to Chris and Rick, Shane, and Dustin. Definitely that's where they were beating me pretty good in this race.
Well, obviously, racing is a team effort. So before I let you go here, who do you have to thank on getting you your first pro class win here tonight?
Yeah, gotta first of all say a really big thanks to Operation Motorsports and the job that Jason Leach has done for putting on this great series, and also a big thanks to you guys up in the broadcast booth for bringing us to the world. But can't obviously thank the sponsors enough: David Levine and Associates, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Carolina's Realty. For everything that they do, Fuel Clothing, HMS Motorsport, Motul Brands, and definitely Andrew over there on the team ownership side of things with Whiplash Racing as well.
All right, well, congratulations on the Pro Class win. Hopefully we get to see more out of you here in the few remaining races of the season.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right, with that, I'll hand it over to our last interview tonight, our beneficiary winner, Hunter Reeve. Andrew, take it away.
Hunter Reeve, not only are you racing for Huge Ass, but that's a huge win for you guys in in the number 46 rather. That's I think exactly what you guys needed to keep your season alive and get up there and race Adam Poppenhaus for this beneficiary championship. How did you do it? How did the car feel?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we got you now. We got you.
Apologies. I just went into this as this is going to be a race of attrition. This is not an easy track to drive on, and the walls have teeth. So I just kind of went in trying to, because we have a bonus for if you have a loose incident. So I was trying to think about that, and then just keep myself in contention with Adam because he was fast. So I don't know what happened to him. I passed him. Next thing I knew, he was a lap down. So I feel really bad for him, and I wanted to try and see if I could, wheel to wheel with him tonight. So that was all I'm thinking about, is just trying to get as many points as I can.
Well, you definitely maximize those points, I think. You come in 5th overall, which I guess isn't necessarily maximizing, but still a great night. Those guys were quick, and 5th place is nothing to scoff at. And you take advantage, I think, which is most important, of those mistakes from the drivers that were ahead of you, and you keep your car clean, and you're 5th fastest over the course of 60 minutes, which is very, very important. How was it trying to avoid those big mistakes, especially in that backstretch chicane that we saw reach out and grab so many people tonight?
I drove it completely different in the race than qualifying. I just as slow as I could be without, not compromise my lap times too much. That's what I just did, and yeah, because I even then I almost made one mistake and completely just went almost headfirst into the wall. So that's a corner you wouldn't take lightly. So that was probably the part where I slowed down the most or drove the slowest I thought I could. And yeah, just because like I said, this whole thing was going to be an attrition race, I think, and you saw that a lot. And I know I had damage, so it was a tough one.
Absolutely a race of attrition. How do you think that's going to change going forward to a place like Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in 2 weeks' time, and even Laguna Seca to ramp up the season?
I don't think those will be as difficult. I don't think they're as sketchy as this track with this chicane. So they're both difficult in their own ways, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I just hope I can keep fighting with Adam and have a good battle for the championship.
Well, this battle is shaping up great because it was 4 points coming into this evening, and I think it's now going to switch hands to where you might even have the points lead for the first time since VIR in race number 1. Speaking of that points battle, man, where do you think it's going to come down to most? Do you think it's going to be a Canadian Tire in 2 weeks, or Laguna Seca, where I guess the biggest difference is made?
I think Laguna Seca doesn't like me for some reason. I always do bad there, so I'm hoping I can do the best I can at Canadian Tire, and hopefully for also a good result at Laguna Seca.
Well, Hunter, of course, before we let you go here, we'd like to get an origin story, if you will, as to how you found Operation Motorsport and all that. Obviously, we're a beneficiary, so tell us about your story with Operation Motorsport and why you're a beneficiary and how they've helped you.
Yeah, so I mean, I was medically discharged in 2017. Just had joints that just didn't want to play ball anymore, and that was it for me. And I honestly stumbled across Operation Motorsport just through a random Facebook post somebody had shared, and they were local to me. They're doing an event local to me as well, so I came out to the open house and kind of been a part of the program ever since.
It really is a great program. So glad that we found Operation Motorsport as well, or they found us. I forget exactly how it went, but Hunter, thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we're seeing you in 2 weeks rather, maybe even the week after, maybe even at the iRace of Remembrance there on November 8th. Hopefully we'll see you around, and congratulations on this 5th place finish and the class win.
Thank you. Yeah. And just want to shout out a few people real quick. Came out of nowhere. I was actually just looked at my phone. My buddies CJ, Amanda, and Daniel, they've been watching the whole race, and so like my whole text chat was full of them like cheering me on. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope it was a fun one.
Well, right on. You certainly gave them a heck of a race to watch because you were battling there for quite a while with several different drivers throughout the race. Once more, congratulations on the class win. Now tying Adam Poppenhouse as well. We'll see you at Canadian Tire.
Thanks, guys.
That's Hunter Reeve, and man, I'm glad that these guys have that kind of support behind them because a lot of these guys, they have nobody really to shout out. A lot of them, though, they have a whole slew of people, a whole list of sponsors, and everybody they want to say hi to and everything like that. Glad that these guys all seem to have at least some kind of support behind them, and glad that we can showcase these beneficiaries just having some great nights overall.
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible race overall. These top to bottom, there wasn't really a dull moment in the race. So to be able to put on a show like that at the Roval, which I know was a very controversial ad when it was announced, very excited by many fans, but not by few. And ever since then, it's proven itself to be an entertaining track for both fans and drivers. And it proves it again here tonight, as apparently even within this league, it was a bit of a topical conversation when this was announced to be on the schedule, but regardless, it was one amazing show. And if this being my first broadcast, if this is what it's like every week, then I might need to start tuning in more for these races because that was fun to watch.
honestly, it has been. These have been some amazing races. I think some of the best racing that we've ever had on Pit Stop TV. So glad that we are able to bring all of you the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League presented by RECARO, Mobil 1, and Redcom. We've had some great partners hop on. We've had some great partners through and through. This is just it. This is truly one of the best evenings that we get to have week in, week out. I mean, this is just, it's great stuff each and every time out. Make sure you tune in a couple of weeks, well, actually about a month now, when we have the iRace of Remembrance here on Pit Stop TV. It's a 6-hour endurance event, and actually you can probably sign up by going to operationmotorsport.org and checking out the eMotorsport section there. Before we get to all of that, though, let's talk, of course, about the race results, because Dustin Burkhalter, man, what a race for him. Rick Hazlitt follows him up in second place as Burkhalter goes back-to-back. Shane Hunter, third in the open category and third overall. Finishes 19 seconds behind race winner Dustin Burkhalter. David Levine checks in at 40 seconds off of the race lead. Hunter Reeve in fifth place. And then it's Chris Walsh, Joe Keynes, Callum Belden, Theo Brolsma, the final car on the lead lap, and Brian Burkhart, the first car, 1 lap down in 10th place.
Back in 11th, this is where you're going to find the 18 of Brian Winker, riding out in 12th with the 11 of Jay Gleason. 13th on the lineup is Glenn Gray, followed by relative Mark Bray, running the 946, 2 laps down in the 14th position. Adam Poppenhaus, who got taken out of contention for the win early on in the race, he rallies back for a 15th place finish. John Winker rounded out in 16th. Tim Bernard, who did really well in the first half, but it all fell apart in the end. He rounds out 17th. And then what I believe to be our only DNF of the race, Jacob Williams, 9 laps down in the 18th position.
And that does it for all 18 cars that showed up this evening. To talk more about that iRace of Remembrance, you can check in. Well, actually, you can go to operationmotorsport.org/eMotorsport, and you can see their whole event schedule and everything like that. But you can also check out the iRace of Remembrance by going to operationmotorsport.org/iRace-of-Remembrance. And again, this is going to be on November 8th. It's a 6-hour endurance race with the IMSA GT4 class. So Porsche GT4s and sorry, I guess Porsche Cayman 718s to be more accurate, and BMW M4s, and it's going to be a great race. I think those cars are a lot of fun to drive, a lot of very fun to watch, very fun to paint, whatever. Everything around those GT4 cars is a lot of fun. So glad that we'll be bringing that to you here on Pit Stop TV. Very much looking forward to that. And of course, we also want to talk about our partners here for the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League. First, I want to mention the fact that Operation Motorsport is a veteran-led, non-for-profit foundation based in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Brighton, Ontario, and was founded on the basis of 3 simple words: excite, engage, and empower. Its mission is to engage through motorsport activities ill and injured service members and disabled veterans affected by military service, leading to aiding in their recovery and rehabilitation. For more information, please visit operationmotorsport.org. RECARO, one of our great partners of the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League, provides an ergonomic sitting position that means a comfortable position. With perfect seat contours and innovative features that support your body, RECARO Automotive makes driving fun, be it on the road or the racetrack. RECARO Automotive, of course, performance seats are more than just aesthetic components, rather. They exude innovation, quality, premium materials, I'm tripping up over a lot of words, craftsmanship, and a genuine passion for cars. And today, Mobil 1 Racing OW50 protects the next generation of America's sports car on the track, while Mobil 1 Advanced Synthetic is still found under the hood of every Chevrolet Corvette off the track. No matter where the hood of your Corvette is located, it's always been Mobil 1 from day one. We also want to thank Redcom. We talked to their president and CEO, Dina, a little while ago. Dina Weisberg, I believe was the last name. It's one of those that I should remember it, and I see it in front of me, and I just can't think about it. But we also talked to Mike Sweeney, their VP of Strategy. It was great to talk to them from Redcom and get their look at what Redcom does and how they work with Operation Motorsport and where they'll be going for the 2021 season, year, I suppose. Noah, go ahead and tell us about our partners here at Pit Stop TV.
All right, first up is Tucson Sound Art. Your picture, your music. You provide the image you want, and we will custom create a beautiful framed high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonArt.com for additional info. Andrew can tell you more about that later on, since he has been loving the framed picture that he received from them a couple weeks ago.
Yes, it's amazing. It's on my wall, and I literally this week have listened to it every single day, like the last week, and it's basically just you pick any picture from your life, anything that's important to you, any moment that is super important to you, you send it to them, they put it on a canvas, wrap it around a box pretty much, it mounts super easily to your wall as well. I think it was 4 total screws, and I just screwed 2 into the wall, put the little bracket up on that, and then the 2 into the back of the box, the little bracket there as well, and then it just hooks right on. You can take it off as easily as you need to. It's super easy to deal with. You can plug it in real easily as well to charge, and the battery lasts for a super long time. We appreciate what they're doing for us, and you can use promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off as well.
All right, the next up is Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care money can buy. At Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, the owner Ashley Bullier is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. You can contact Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call/text them at 207-358-8683. If you're looking for the best solutions for your permanent makeup concerns, give Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine a call today to book a consultation. If you visit their Facebook page, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, you can enter one of their monthly giveaways. Enter today, and who knows, you might just win. And then lastly, we want to also thank Whiplash Media, Pit Stop TV's new parent organization. Whiplash Media specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing, offering services such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Go to whiplash-media.com for more.
And that will do it. That will conclude our coverage tonight from Charlotte Motor Speedway of the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League presented by RECARO. We at Pit Stop TV thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Be sure to join us tomorrow evening as we bring you the Bluegrass iRacing Series right back here at the Roval, and again on Sunday when the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series heads west to Sin City Racing at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/pitstoptv, on Twitter at pitstoptv_, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV, and on YouTube at www.youtube.com/c/pitstoptv1. For all of us at Pit Stop TV, I had Noah Carmichael with me on the call. JP Costa was supposed to be here, but let's give a shout out to JP because he's been amazing lately, stepping right into an important role on these road course leagues with us. And unfortunately, he had some computer troubles this evening, hardware failures, a big thing the last 3 days apparently. But we appreciate the work that he's done with us, and unfortunately, he could not be here with us. But Trey Shuttlesworth had our social media coverage down pat as he always does. I am Andrew Cardinale IV, and we will see you next time. Also, a big happy birthday to Emerson Arden, who is usually with us for these Operation Motorsport broadcasts, is not this evening because he's enjoying a very happy birthday as he turns 19. So happy birthday to him, and we will see you guys next time out.